Hey, everybody, welcome to Not a Duck in Any Road Studios, to the BS and Viewpoints YouTube channel. My name is Dan Denton. I'm the host of the Blue Collar Gospel Hour. I'm here with.
Cutty, the host of BS and Viewpoints. Follow and subscribe us on YouTube, on IG. Follow and subscribe Blue Collar Comedy Gospel Hour on YouTube and IG and any other media platform you can. How's it going, brother?
It's uh, it's been a pretty busy week.
Yeah, definitely. It's definitely been a pretty busy week. NFL things keep happening. Teams keep winning. Some teams keep losing. Adam Gase still has a job, which he was up 10 points in the fourth quarter.
Did
Up
you see?
10.
Did you see Bill Belichick's
Still losing.
comments this week?
No, I didn't. No, I didn't.
On Tuesday, he made a comment in like a press conference. He said that leaving the Jets was one of the turning point, like the linchpin decision of his career. Like basically threw all kinds of shade at the Jets.
Pretty much, because he's having maybe one of his statistically worst coaching years as far as victories, wins, and losses. Like, I know Tom Brady's whole tenure with the Patriots was well. I don't think they ever incurred this many losses. Maybe 10-6 at the end of the year, but what were they? 3-6. They were 2-6 going into the game. They won. They were 3-6. So it's definitely very intriguing. We got a lot of stuff to tackle. Dallas Cowboys act like they look like they had a pulse, but then you know, then they're the Dallas Cowboys. They still managed to lose. Right now, they are in third position for draft stock. New York New York Jets are number one because they haven't won it. I don't honestly see them winning, but they're on bye.
Yeah.
So it's one of those type of years where some people already know that they're going to take a vacation, so they're going to play some young guys. With that being said, let's break down our first game. We got the Thursday game, the Indianapolis Colts at the Tennessee Titans. In my opinion, this was going to be a good one. Why is it going to be a good one? Because everybody knows King Henry, probably a top 3 running back right now, definitely a top 3. Was considered maybe number 1, and then Dalvin Cook came back and did some amazing things, which we'll get into. But yeah, he's definitely a top 3 running back, and he's going against that Colts defense. That Colts has a vaunted defense. Colts is one of the top scoring defenses, and they're one of the top turnover type defenses. They're definitely a top upper echelon defense. So it's, can they stop King Henry, and then can they stop players like AJ Brown, and then can they offensively put up enough? Like I said, Phillip Rivers is going to give you a few good games. You never know when one's going to pop up, but this is a divisional rival. But it's not really Phillip Rivers' divisional rival because this is his first year in his division. So with that being said, it's kind of easy for me. I'm going to let it all hang out. I'm going Tennessee. I just think they got enough. It's going to be cold. Phillip Rivers, probably going to be cold in Tennessee this week. And it's not a dome game. It's not a nice warm weather game. Even though I believe Tennessee's defense to be inept, you never know which version of Phillip Rivers you're going to get. They have injuries. Paris Campbell's hurt. Jack Doyle just got hurt last week. T.Y. Hilton, I really haven't seen him all year. Jonathan Taylor can put it on the ground at any time, but he's a really good running back. I just believe Tennessee has enough.
Yeah, I think it's going to be a good game. I'm looking forward to watching it. I think the defenses are both going to. Indy's defense is going to stand out more than their offense. Tennessee's defense is not as sturdy as Indy's, but they both beat the Bears this year. Both beat my team, our team. But yeah, I think Tennessee's just got more. I don't think Indianapolis's offense will score enough points to overcome. Tennessee's going to score. They're going to beat you down. And Indy's, I don't think offense is going to be able to keep up.
Yeah,
So I'm going to go with Tennessee and the Bulldozer running back.
yeah. I got King Henry. He gets stronger as the year goes on, and I think he's about to hit up another level. Next up, we got the hapless Houston Texas versus the potentially hapless Cleveland Browns. Oh man, just Cleveland when it rains it pours. Houston's already looking for next year, but they don't even have they don't have their first 2-round picks due to the part of the Lamry Tunzel deal. So kind of missing picks. So this is gonna be interesting. But with that being said, Houston's run defense is atrocious, and you have potentially, if he comes back, You got Nick Chubb. But if Nick Chubb doesn't come back, you got the best. That's 1A, 1B with Cleveland. They have 1A, 1B at running back. Most teams can't say that. You have Kareem Hunt, who could be a 1A for most teams back there. And I believe Cleveland's going to pound the ball. It's in Cleveland. It's going to be cold. And I just believe Cleveland's going to pound the ball. And defensively, they'll show up a little bit better. And I just don't think Houston has enough. I think maybe Will Fuller might be able to stretch him up top, or maybe Brandon Cooks, because Houston does have vertical weapons. You got Fuller and Brandon Cooks, two of some of the maybe the best 5 or 10 deep ball catchers in the league currently, as far as and over the last few years. But I just believe Cleveland ground and pounds, a slow, painful ground and pound where they just keep at it. And Cleveland seemingly looks better since Odell Beckham has left, because they don't have to give him the targets anymore. So you got Landry, you got Donovan's People Jones, you got other guy Huggins, you got him, you got Njoku, of course you got Hooper, so you got weapons. And I believe their defense is going to take a step forward. Myles Garrett will be a problem. I think he'll give Laramie tons of problems, because he was actually on a defensive MVP pace. I'm taking the Cleveland Browns this week. Love you, Rob. Taking
it. Yeah, I'm not giving shouts out to my Cleveland Brown buddies. Screw the Browns, Chris Claiborne. Yeah, I'm taking the Browns though.
We can't both take the Browns.
You know,
I want to say we're like
you can't. Even as
2.
wild as I get, I can't pick Houston. Even as bipolar as the Browns are, I still can't pick Houston.
Well, yeah, you
they just ain't got enough. We're gonna have to disagree somewhere else this week.
Oh, okay.
And you know me, I'm a Browns hater. But I can't pick Houston.
You say it so proudly. I'm a Browns hater.
Screw the Browns, Chris Claiborne. He knows they've deserved it. He's earned it. He's gotten a little obnoxious over the last couple of years and a little unreasonable, you know,
if they
as we all tend to be as homers for our team.
If they win a Super Bowl, you'll never hear that.
None of us ever would. Shit, if they go 8-8 again.
Think they'll have another parade?
Yeah.
Next up, we got the Washington Football Club, FC. Yes, I said it. I'm going to continue to say it. You need to get a last name. You call yourself something. You call yourself a plethora of things. You can even steal the line from the Harlem Globetrotters favorite team. Call yourself the Washington Generals. Just get a name out there, and we'll at least go with it. They're playing the Detroit Lions. Now, this is interesting. AP's coming back. He played at Washington for a little bit, and Washington has a really good defense. Only problem is Washington's offense was below average when they had Haskins. Then Kyle Allen gets hurt. I gonna start Alex Smith there. I mean, the only bright spots, 2 bright spots in that offense. Maybe 3. Logan Thomas, he's a former quarterback at Virginia Tech. Now he's the tight end. You got scary Terry McLaurin, who, if you can get him, which most people can't in fantasy, a definite sign. And then Gibson, their running back's been looking pretty good. But I don't really give credence or credit to anything else. Their offense is still inept. And with that being said, I think Detroit can play enough of a complete game. Although I think Stafford will be getting harassed and hassled. But they're missing Kenny Golladay. So if you get a chance, get Marvin Jones Jr., maybe Adrian Peterson wants to strike a little bit of revenge at Washington. This is not a bad look either way. But with that said, I'm going with the Lions. I just got the Lions. I just believe Washington, I want to say their 2 victories have came over division opponents. Because I know they beat Dallas, and did they beat New York, or did New York beat them?
New York ain't won.
I thought you talking about the Giants, not the Giants.
Oh, the Giants, yeah. So I'll tell you. Give me one second.
It doesn't matter.
Give me one. They beat the Cowboys.
They beat the Cowboys and they beat the Eagles. So, like I said, both of their wins have
beat the Eagles.
Have come divisionally. They did lose to the Giants. Sorry about that.
Yep.
Had a brain fart. But yeah, that's what I'm saying. They're not beating any team that's not in their division. Any team they haven't seen twice. And I don't believe this one's going to happen. I believe the line's going to be too much. I believe Hawkinson is going to do really good. He's a really good pass catcher. The main thing is, can you get away from that pressure? Can you shore up the pressure of Sweat coming at you, and Chase Young coming at you? potentially Ryan Kerrigan coming at you, and them guys, Tim Settle Jr. They have guys in there that could make your life um, very interesting. But I think Stafford has enough. Stafford sees defensive lines like that twice a year when he plays the Bears, and he does at least average.
Hmm.
But with that being said, he's going to do well enough and make enough plays that I have the Lions over the Washington Football Club. I just do. I just don't believe they have enough
Hey, you know one thing they're not going to call Washington?
winners.
500. So yeah, I mean that I just don't think I'm picking the Lions. It's in Detroit. Not that there's a big home crowd advantage or anything, but by the way, COVID cases are on the uptick. Everybody be safe. Be careful out there. Um, but yeah, I'm taking Detroit. It's just I was looking at it. Stafford's numbers aren't terrible.
Mm-mm.
I mean, he's averaging something like 230 something yards a game or something. I don't know.
I thought it was
You
a little bit
know,
higher than that.
it might be a little bit. Nah, it's about that. But I mean, he's not having a terrible fantasy year. But I mean, the Lions just aren't that good. But I think they're good enough to beat the Washington Football Club.
Lions is one of the primary franchises that take steps back. And they've taken a step back. They were really good with Caldwell, and they just expected that, hey, we'll get this guy and he'll put us over the top. It doesn't always work like that. Some guys are just better assistants. They're not the main guy, and I believe Caldwell was, and I believe they kind of like he never went 8-8. I don't think, or he never went worse than 8-8. He was always like above 500. But he didn't get a fair shake, and it's kind of sad. He does have a job in the NFL. He's an assistant, but it's like he's not a head coach somewhere. When you bring a team that that was down and literally destitute up into relevancy, where they were actually contending for the NFC North crown, and then after he leaves, you go back to what you was before he got there. Then that says an amazing coaching job. They got better. They got better when he showed up, and then when he left, they got worse. They became what they were. So I'm still shocked Matt Patricia has a job, but I mean,
How much longer?
yeah, I mean, end of the year, I got him maybe end of the year. He might keep it another year because most people don't like to admit they were wrong, especially people with money. So I can't imagine them keeping him for more than after this season, one more season, if they continue to do bad, because that's the reason why they had the number 3 draft pick last year. It's the reason why they drafted Jeffrey Okuda. And your number 3 draft pick, Matthew Stafford, was hurt for some time, but that wasn't it. That just
Yeah,
wasn't the only issue.
it's more than a Matthew Stafford problem.
Yes, but they do got some good young pieces. So next up, we got the Jacksonville Jaguars, and they're playing the Green Bay Packers. What
Boo.
more can I say? Hey, somebody asked me, is Jackson Jaguars gonna win? I said, in honor, no way, never. I just can't really see it. No way, never. They ain't gonna do it then, and it probably won't do it tomorrow. Definitely not Sunday. Can you dig it? Yes, I can. Can I kick it? Yes, I can. That being said, even though Jacksonville shows signs of life, they started a rookie quarterback because Gardner Minshew was hurt, and they looked all right. They still lost, and there's a reason why they're in the rebuild. You give away Ramsey and pretty much all your pieces that you had, Fournette, and other guys, and you're rebuilding. They're trying to get a top 2 pick. It's looking like they might be able to gravitate towards Justin Fields. It's looking like that's where you could go. And I don't see them winning this one. Green Bay looks really good. I want to say Lazard's potentially coming back to go with Devontae Adams. Lazard was killing when Adams was hurt. So if you can get Lazard, you should get Lazard. But then Lazard's coming back to go with the fact that they're getting healthy. Jamal Williams is back off COVID. You got Aaron Jones. That's their 2 running backs. Their tight ends look really good, Tanyan, and they look really good. My only thing with them is when they've lost, it's been them on defense. I felt like their defense let them down more than their offense. Their offense did have a bad game against Tampa Bay, but when they lost to the Vikings, I just thought their defense, because Dalvin Cook had 4 touchdowns, so there's nothing he could do. It's the Birds are playing. It's Superman. That's how Dalvin Cook showed up that day. And in my opinion, he's probably one of the best running backs in football right now. But They got too much for Jacksonville. And yeah.
So you're not picking Jacksonville's not your sleeper this week?
If I would pick a sleeper, it wouldn't be them. You picking that show sleeper, watching your life and your
Cutty, you know
pockets
how much I hate the Packers.
go down. Hey, when you know, you
but
know.
I'm not jumping off that cliff either. I'm taking Green Bay as much as it pains me, as much as I hate the Packers. They're our natural born enemy of us monsters of the Midway fans. But yeah, I got to take Green Bay. Jacksonville just, I mean, they, two different teams heading two different directions.
Yeah. Next up, got the Philadelphia Eagles, who seem to be improving like the little engine that could. They got off to a slow start, and they taking on the New York Giants, which we all know what they plan for. They plan for vacation. They ready for this season to be over. Although they are in a division where they probably still stand a chance of making the playoffs. They are. So this is a key divisional game for them. But with that being said, man, Philly's looking better and better. The two most injured teams in the NFL are the San Francisco 49ers and the Philadelphia Eagles. But they're starting to get healthy. And I just believe Philly's going to have enough. New York Giants have had some injuries, but I just don't deem the New York Giants to be any good. I deem that division to be a dumpster fire. You can see out of that division, the three teams that don't win the NFC East will probably all draft in the top 8. That's how bad it is. And with that being said, you're going to have 2 of them drafted in the top 5. I was being nice when I said maybe they matter of fact, 2 of them probably drafted top 4. 3 and 8 is being nice only because they got to play each other, so somebody's got to win, which will put their draft position up to 8. One team's going to get 5 victories out of that division and still not win it. And then you got other teams probably going to be 7 victories. And I can just see it.
Is Adam Gase still employed next year?
Oh, man, they walking stuff out when the game's over. They don't even wait till the next day to do the interviews. When the game's over, they take away a security card and walk him right out. Matter of fact,
you were talking about them early draft picks, and I just started thinking about who's going to pick well of the early ones. Anyway, never mind. Not to...
we'll get on them, but it's the Giants right now. I don't even know if any coach, every coach in that division should probably be fired. I mean, it is what it is.
There's a lot of bad teams in the NFL this year.
No, it's some bad teams in the NFL. It's a lot of bad teams. Every team is bad. The only reason why they will get to 7 wins is because they have to play each other. If they had to play other teams, I just couldn't see it. As I said before, in honor of the Macho Man, no way, never. I just can't see them winning games. They don't have to play each other.
So the Giants are going to win 7 games. They got to win 5 out of their last 7.
I don't see that.
They got to go 5-2 down the home stretch to finish the 7 wins.
Don't see it happening. I don't see them winning. I see them as being I see them as maybe being. They might draft number 6. You can have Washington maybe at 4. Dallas is looking at 2 or 3 right now. And you can have maybe the Eagles win that division. With that being said, I got the Eagles winning the game. They're getting healthier. There's things are starting to take shape. They're coming along, coming around the corner. I just believe they have enough. Their defense is looking a little bit better. And somebody has to win a division. Why not them? I got the Eagles over the Giants. And as I said, look at the stats. Guess who leads the New York Giants in rushing? Daniel Jones still leads the Giants in rushing.
Still leads the Giants in rushing.
That's everything you want. Although if you can get Sterling Shepard is a great fantasy pickup, it's because he's the number 1. It's kind of forgotten about. He'll get some targets. He might be one of those guys with maybe 10 or 11 targets, maybe 8 receptions if you're in a PPR league, 8 receptions, maybe like 70 yards, maybe get you a touch, maybe get you 20 points. If you need them, because I need all the help I get right now. My fantasy team is injury you. Oh man.
So yeah, I'm gonna take the Eagles with you on this one. Once again, 2 teams heading 2 different directions, although these teams' records aren't that far apart. Yeah, I don't think the Giants are going to go 5-2 down the stretch. Yeah,
I could be wrong.
Daniel Jones, leading rusher for the New York Giants,
halfway through the season, next 9 games.
He did have that 180-yard run that was beautiful.
Then he
got tripped up by Casper at the end. But yeah, I'm
Friendly
taking the
ghosts.
Eagles. The Eagles just have more talent, even with their injuries, and I know they got some guys coming back, and but yeah, I'm taking the Eagles.
Mm-hmm. Next up, Tampa Bay, who just got stomped by the Saints at Carolina. Tampa Bay just got like what happened to Tampa Bay. It was just like I said, that was a championship fight that would have called it. Like it was
Hmm.
over. It was over real
Man, it was
fast.
ugly.
Yeah, it was like 38-3. They kicked the field goal in the fourth quarter to not get shut out. Like it was all bad. Like with all that talent, you
Like
remember?
nothing good.
Yes, they
Like
Antonio Brown played 38 snaps, rendered ineffective. Mike Evans played, but he was held by Marshawn Lattimore. Marshawn Lattimore did a great job. Rendered ineffective. You had Scotty Miller out there, ineffective. Rob Gronkowski, non-existent. So, Tom Brady, 3 points. I can't ever remember Tom Brady scoring 3 points ever. It's been a long time.
yeah,
So that is terrible. Their defense, which is a top 5 defense. At one time, I had them top 3 with what they had. Definitely their front 7. It was one of the best front 7s, but I had them as a top defense. You're at 38. The Saints, like, oh, when the Saints go
the Saints
marching
are a
in.
good team.
Oh, when the
Saints are
Saints
a good
go
offense, but
marching in. Yeah, that was just terrible. And this week they get a chance to rebound. I think they're going to be angry. They're playing at Carolina, which is, outside. It won't be as nice as Tampa Bay or a dome. But Christian McCaffrey came back from one game. Now he's hurt again. So Christian McCaffrey being hurt, he's looking like he's almost doubtful with a shoulder issue this time. So with that being said, they'll want to win, they'll want to prove a point, and they're playing a team that star is hurt. And if you can, this is another fantasy pick. Get Curtis Samuel. He scored in 3 straight games. He looks really good. They actually found a niche. They're using him the way Ohio State used him, meaning he'll get a reverse out of the slot. He'll be in the backfield. He'll run the ball. Then he'll catch it. He'll catch some routes. There's so much you can do with a guy like Curtis Samuel. Like when Urban Meyer recruited him, he also had another guy named Percy Harvin, which we all know how that went. You get that guy who's a running back but can catch really well. And then you just say, hey, your body isn't big enough to be a complete every down running back, but your talent says you're one of my best 11 players. So I'm going to find stuff for you to do. I'm going to make you run a route on get a linebacker coverage, run a route. And that's what they're doing with him. And that's actually what I always thought he'd be good at. Like, we moved him to a wide receiver at The Ohio State University and he did well. He did really well. But this is what he does. He can do everything. I didn't think he could handle, like getting 20 carries in a game. That's not what he does. But he can handle, getting a reverse or two, getting some catches out the backfield, even maybe doing a little wildcat.
maybe line it up in the slot a little.
Lined up in the slot, definitely. That's
Yeah.
what he does. Like he's a matchup nightmare. Most linebackers can't hold him. Most linebackers, he's too elusive for him. He'll make them miss. If you put a safety on him, he's probably still too fast. It's almost like you have to designate a corner. You have to have a guy with a rare skill set to get on him. He's a matchup nightmare. They've been having success in the last 3 games. That's why I scored in the last 3 games. When they find ways to get him the ball, I believe he's going to score for the 4th straight game. I just don't believe it'll be enough. I got Tampa Bay winning. They're going to be angry. Lost 38-3. I can see where this is going to go. I don't believe Carolina's that good. Not without Christian McCaffrey. They gave Kansas City a run, but they had Christian McCaffrey. Christian McCaffrey's gone. I just don't see it. What's your take on that one, Dan?
So I really, really wanted to take Carolina.
You should.
Um,
Somebody's got to be
I
right.
do have Mike Davis. I got McCaffrey in my fantasy team.
Mm-hmm.
He is doubtful.
Mm-hmm.
I do have Davis on standby. Davis had a couple good games. Gets a lot of volume.
Mm-hmm.
We'll see what happens to me in fantasy this week. It was good having McCaffrey back for 1 week, I guess. But yeah, I just don't see Carolina winning. I think Tampa Bay. I mean, they got to be embarrassed. I mean, I was
Mm-hmm.
shocked. I mean, most of us, I have to believe, were shocked watching that on Monday night. But
yeah, I didn't see that.
But I can't see Tom Brady coming back out and looking that bad against Carolina 2 weeks in a row after they looked at. I just can't see that happening. So I'm taking Tampa Bay too.
Yeah, I've always envisioned. If you look at it, it's contrasting styles when you break down Tom Brady and what Bruce Arians like to do. Bruce Arians was the quarterback coach of Ben Roethlisberger, and he had Jameis Winston. And Bruce Arians is a vertical passer. Tom Brady's never had the strongest arm. Tom Brady hits you with precision, pinpoint accuracy. So it's like they got to mesh. Sometimes I feel like they mesh well. When they played the Bears, of course, they didn't mesh well. And then when I felt like they played them, they didn't mesh well. You're telling everybody to run the go route, telling everybody just take it deep. And that's not Tom Brady's game. Tom Brady's game is I'm a dink and dunk you. That's why the tight end and the slot are essential for him. Tight end slot running back. He loves the slots, Think about what he had when he had Edelman and Danny Amendola and even Wes Welker a long time ago. When you have that slot guy and then you have a tight end of Gronkowski's capability, or even RIP, say what you want about him, and Aaron Hernandez. When you have a good tight end and the slot, then you have a good running back like he did with James White, where you could throw it out the backfield, or Rex Burkhead. That's what he's used to. You got to give him those weapons. I mean, he has great outside weapons, Mike Evans, Antonio Brown if he's there, Chris Godwin, but it's the Scotty Miller, Gronk, and Leonard Fournette, who's really going to make up what he does. But at the end of the day, you still have to call that for him. If he's not getting called that and you're asking Tom Brady to throw the ball 30 to 35 yards down the field frequently, there's this for him and his arm strength, that is high risk, low reward. It's not high reward, low risk. So you got to mesh that. You got to get him going and let him, dink and dunk you over, underneath until you try to defend underneath and then hit you over top. And I feel like sometimes they do well and then sometimes they just don't do well. And I feel like against New Orleans, they didn't do well. I believe in Carolina, they're going to try to do well at that, because part of that game, the offensive line of Tampa Bay played like crap. But Moffitt, which is their best guard, he actually didn't even play. He's actually their best offensive lineman, in my opinion. He didn't even play. And that's essential because New Orleans has a really good defensive line, and they just pressured them and ate them alive. Man, no quarterback likes to, have to move off their spot, which in this case, I'm going to break down football a little bit more. A spot is where the quarterbacks likes to be. They like it to be a little clean little pocket where they can throw the ball, step into it, and get a little thing. When the quarterback's off the spot, normally he's moving left or right or backward, which means when he throws the ball, it doesn't have the same velocity or trajectory to get where you want it to go when you want it to go there. So most quarterbacks who are not mobile, you just want to move them off the spot, make them worry about the pressure, because they'll have eventually, it's a natural reaction to look down or to move one way or another, but then that takes you off of your base throwing the ball. So you don't have the same velocity. So the ball hangs in the air a little bit more incompletions, more interceptions. Breaking it all down, that's just how it went for him that game. So,
and Brady's definitely a timing quarterback. He's definitely
he's a timing quarterback who likes to be on his spot. So you need to keep his pocket clean where he can go wherever he needs to go as far as stepping up and throwing into a throw to get it there the fastest possible, at the fastest possible rate, but really accurate. But when you're knocking him off his spot, then he has to go left or right or go backward. And then that's taking him off his spot, throwing his timing off. And he can't throw the ball with the same arm strength. He doesn't have Pat Mahomes or Aaron Rodgers' arm strength where they can back up and still throw the ball 55 yards.
Hey, you think Tampa Bay's got enough time to turn this back around and make it run the playoffs?
NFL losses happen. Look at some of the teams that won a Super Bowl. Some of the teams that won the Super Bowl also lost. We're Bears fans. Remember the 85 Bears were destroyed by the Miami Dolphins. Destroyed. We were 15-1 that year. Still won a Super Bowl. What does that tell you? It is one game. It is one game they can learn from if they choose to learn from it. And that's it. They lost both games this year against New Orleans. Week 1, you really can't even credit that. It's a victory, but you got to think, no preseason. He really didn't have the time to acquiesce to the rest of his team, to get accustomed to a team. That was their first time together. Mm-hmm. And then this time, it's just like, I don't know, Bruce Arians, whoever calling plays, there just wasn't. I was watching the game like, why aren't they calling like unders? Why aren't they calling, the rub routes? Why aren't they calling, a lot of option routes? Just because, the pass rushers come in and make Tom Brady, to be able to get Tom Brady off, to let him throw the ball quickly and then move efficiently and then hit them with something big. But I just thought they were going like too many intermediate to deep routes instead of the underneath stuff.
Yeah.
And sometimes you happen like that. Sometimes you can overthink it.
Yeah.
And maybe their offense was overthinking it, but I feel like they'll be back. And that was as in depth I think I'll ever go with quarterback play. Hey, I coached, I played, I did a lot of fun stuff. So, and I've been doing fantasy, so I kind of know this. I've been doing this for over 30 years, and I'm not that old. Since I was a little kid, I've been breaking out football. So, next up, we got the Denver Broncos, and we got the Las Vegas Raiders. This is division rivalry. This is gonna be interesting. Drew Lock seems to be Drew Lock. He just needs a little bit more help. Denver, I really don't know what to say about them. They went to Atlanta. Atlanta's, I want to say, is 2-1 or 3-1 since the firing of Dan Quinn. They seem to be attempting to right the ship. Yeah, they're 3-1. They're 3-1 since the firing of Dan Quinn. They seem to be doing better. But that's not for neither here nor there. This is my sleeper of the week. I'm actually going to pick the Denver Broncos to beat the Las Vegas Raiders. This is divisional rivalry. You see these teams twice a year. You know them inside and out. If there was a game Denver was going to win, I believe if Melvin Gordon can get it going, because it seems like Las Vegas Raiders, they just have, I mean, they lost to Tampa Bay, but they beat Kansas City. You know, they're not a bad team. They're a pretty good team, but they just have these lull games. I just wonder if this could be a lull game for them. I just see something about Melvin Gordon. You know, they're coming along as far as their receiving core. Denver, if you can get Tim Patrick, get him. Noah Fant, Melvin Gordon, Philip Lindsay. I believe that's really good. I just believe they have enough. I just believe that this is just, it's not a bad matchup for the Vegas Raiders. It's just, I believe it's a game they'll overlook. And I believe them overlooking this, I have them sitting at 5-4. I'm picking the Denver Broncos. Thank me later, Logie. I'm picking the Denver Broncos over the Las Vegas Raiders. Off pure gut and emotion. Nothing statistical. I can honestly say leads me to want to pick this game that way.
So my fantasy advice is a little contrary to what you said. I try to stay away from anybody that plays on a bad offense in fantasy. I do happen to have Sutton in the IR, and I had Philip Lindsay for a while, and I dropped him. I never started either one of them this year, but I would stay away from the Denver Broncos in fantasy, period. And I did think about that, making that my sleeper too, and I turned it down just because I think the Raiders are going to win. I think it's going to be a good game. It's a rival. It's a division game. You know, the Raiders beat the Kansas City Chiefs this year in a division game, but I don't think they're going to suffer that same fate. I think the Raiders are going to pull it off and win the game.
Yeah, I go with that. Like I said, Tim Patrick, if you can get him, because you got to think. I'm gonna tell you a fantasy key for me. It doesn't. Honestly, if you're a wide receiver and you're on a losing team, hey, great, you're gonna throw the ball a little bit more. It gives you a chance. Yeah. It gives you a chance, but
like you might find some volume.
Yeah, you might find a little volume. If you're in a PPR league and a guy like Tim Patrick and maybe get you, maybe gets 10 or 12 targets, I'd rather have a Tim Patrick who's they pretty much made the number one receiver at Denver. Tim Patrick, he might get 10 targets, might get you 7 receptions, maybe 70 yards and a touchdown. I'd rather take the 7 receptions for 75 yards and maybe a touchdown than take a guy like, I'll give you an example, a guy I got that I'll probably get rid of, Cole Beasley. He doesn't, John Brown's back and you got Stephon Diggs. So even though their offense is seemingly humming, I mean, really, he's the third or fourth option anymore. I'd rather have a number 1 than a number 4 because the offense is good. That's what makes Kansas City offense so hard to, gauge, because when you look at Kansas City, which we'll break them down later, if you look at Kansas City, they have multiple options. But Kelsey's going to get his touches. Tyreek Hill is actually a crapshoot this year. You don't know if he's going to get his. McCole Hardman, Robinson. You don't know who else is going to come, but Kelsey's going to come. So, even though that offense is that, you have those games where Tyreek Hill breaks out, and then you have those games where Tyreek Hill regresses back. You have those games with McCole Hardman being a third option, breaks out, and then you have those games where he goes back. Now, he can have a game where he breaks out, gets you 130 yards, 2 touchdowns, maybe one of them long, and gets you maybe 35, 40 points. And then he can have a game where he has 3 receptions, 30 yards, and that's the end of it. So I'd rather have a Tim Patrick because for me, fantasy is consistency. Are you going to consistently get 10, 12 targets, 60, 70 yards, maybe a touchdown? I can deal with consistency. If he's going to consistently give me 15, 16 points, I think anybody in their fantasy league will take that all day, every day over the big 35 points, then 3 points, then 4 points, then 6 points, then 15 points. I just like consistency because you know what you're going to get. That's what makes running backs, so good, and that's what makes some certain receivers so good. I had Antonio Brown some years ago in Pittsburgh, and everybody's like, "Why you draft him so high?" I'm like, "Because he's consistent." That's when he had that streak, and when he had every game he had like 5 receptions and 50 yards for like so many consecutive games. I'm like, because he's consistent. I don't need him to, there's other receivers out there, but I just need him to be consistent. I need consistent numbers. That's why my team's struggling this year. Everybody I got is not really consistent. It's boom or bust. Some weeks I might score 180, 170 points. One week I don't even think I got to 100 because they're not consistent. I'll have a Justin Jefferson give me 36. I'll have Justin Jefferson give me 3. Hollywood Brown to get me 25. Hollywood Brown gets me 2. No consistency. Name of the game is consistency. For me, it's my fantasy.
Yeah.
So I know I went down memory lane, but let me bring it back up to speed. Next up, we got the Los Angeles Chargers, goal, versus the Tua Tagovailoa. I love saying that name, Miami Dolphins. This is going to be an interesting one. Both of these guys are first-round picks. They're not the guy. They're not a Joey Burrow, but they are first-round picks. Both of these guys seem to be doing pretty good so far. But this is the thing. Miami Dolphins, quiet as kept, has the number one scoring defense. The number one scoring defense. And I believe if you can get them, I just picked them up. Most people didn't even realize they had the number one scoring defense. They've been playing at a really high level. Tua Tagovailoa seems to be doing well. Justin Herbert seems to be doing well. But, the Chargers only have a few victories for a reason. What are they, 3 victories? They lost to Denver after being up. They trailed a lot of games. They're offensive lightning in a bottle, but they're also They turn over big play. They'll give those up as well. So with that being said, it's easy for me. Tua Tagovailoa, their running back got hurt. Gaskins hurt. I'm not even sure if Jordan Howard started or Beretta or who started. It seemingly doesn't even matter. That defense is good. They're going to cause problems. Justin Herbert, I think he's going to do well. But at the same time, the same point in the day, I just got Miami defense. That Brian Flores defense, Brian Flores looks like the best. He looks like the best Bill Belichick disciple as far as defense. Matt Patricia, Romeo Crennel. Crennel does decent, but Brian Flores is one of the only positive head coaches I've seen come out of that tree. That's the only seed to bear fruit so far from Bill Belichick. And I got Miami Dolphins winning this one. It's in Miami too.
So this is my sleeper pick for the week. I'm taking the Chargers. If you look at it, their quarterback Herbert's played well this year. I know they're 2-6, but even the games they've lost have all been pretty competitive games for the most part. I think they lost by 3 to the Saints, and so Tua's played well. The Dolphins are looking good. I do have their defense in fantasy. I did have San Francisco, and their defense has not done so well. But I am going to take the Chargers as my sleeper this week.
Okay.
There it is. Bet it at your own risk. If you lose, blame Cutty.
If you win, Cash App Cutty. Next up, we got the Buffalo Bills at the Arizona Cardinals. This is what is going to be interesting because Kyler looked really good. And then, Kyler had that ran into Miami. Miami did it to the Rams. Miami did it to Arizona. They just get a turnover or something like that. But this is going to be interesting. Josh Allen looked amazing last week. I started Josh Allen. I started Cole Beasley. Josh Allen got me 42 fantasy points. I only scored 106 as a team, which lets you know what my other 8 players did. At Cole Beasley, I think he got me maybe 3-4 points. It was that bad. I don't know where Josh Allen. Everybody who scored for Josh Allen, I didn't have on my roster. But with that,
that's the way it always goes for me.
Yeah. With that being said, I just, as magically as they look, it's in Arizona. I think Christian Kirk is emerging. D-Hop is, he gets off, but then sometimes D-Hop goes a half with only getting like 1 target, which I don't get. And then Kyler Murray is a fantasy dynamo. If you had a
he's leading his team in rushing.
if he had a chance to get Kyler Murray, I'd recommend getting him. You don't, so look at him next year. But if you're doing any DraftKings or like anything like that, I would probably be interested on saying start him, go get him. But I got Arizona winning. It's as good as Buffalo looks. I believe Pat Pete was probably gonna try to do his best to take Diggs away. I don't know. He might do pretty well. He seems to, he seems to do well. Pat Pete still seems to do pretty well against receivers, but I just. I just don't know. Buffalo, when they scored 18 points against the Jets a few weeks ago, and they moved the ball, but they couldn't get in the end zone. It's kind of like a new flash. They played Seattle last week, which is not the equivalent of playing a college team, but it's not too much of an upgrade. They scored 40 points against Seattle, but Seattle has a defense that's in the same category with Dallas. What makes Seattle different than Dallas? They have Russell Wilson, DK Metcalf, and Tyler Lockett. That's the only difference between Seattle and Dallas is the weaponry that they have with Seattle on offense. The quarterback play does not allow them to look bad, but you score 34 points and you lose. But I don't see Buffalo even nearing the 40-point plateau. Even though Arizona's defense didn't look good, Russell Wilson lit them up, and they got lit up by Tua. They got lit up by Tua, so it's going to be interesting. It could be a shootout, but I don't think Buffalo in the shootout will score 40 points. I could see them, maybe scoring 31 or maybe 27 and losing just because Kyler Murray's that good. He's like a super fast running back. He's a super fast quarterback who can throw the ball 70 yards, but then can break it down like a running back. And D-Hop and Christian Kirk, if you can get Christian Kirk, by all means, go get him. And Chase Edmonds looked pretty good. I don't think King and Drake's coming back this week. So for me, even though my heart and my fantasy says Buffalo, my mind says Arizona. I'm taking the Cardinals.
So I'm going to take Buffalo in this game.
That's a sleeper.
To me, it's not really a sleeper because it's kind of a toss-up. It's a pretty close.
It's not a toss-up.
It's in Arizona, but it's
60-40, 50.
Yeah, it's
59-41.
It's close. I think this is probably one of the best games of the week, by the way.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm going to take Buffalo. I do like Kyler Murray. I think Arizona's got to get their running game going better, more consistent. I think that helps Kyler Murray out more.
Mm-hmm.
Their defense hasn't been great. So I'm taking Buffalo. I'm riding the Josh Allen train.
I hope so. I hope he bears fruit on some fantasy points. I need a little bit of help. I need to win 4 straight and hope for complete and utter chaos to maybe sneak into the playoffs. I need complete utter chaos. Next up, let's move it forward. We got the Seattle Seahawks, who we just talked about. 6-2 Seattle Seahawks versus the 5-3 Los Angeles Rams. This is definitely going to be interesting. This is division rivalry. And,
it's going to be a good game.
Yeah, it's going to be a good game because division rivalries are a little bit harder to call than most. But I've actually used my sleeper pick. It's one of my other one is my sleeper pick. And people actually have the Rams favor. And I just believe with Russell Wilson, you always got a chance. What makes this game so good, if you get a chance to watch it, this is going to be a great game. If you can see Tyler Lockett, DK Metcalf, they got a tight end named Dinsley. Go up against those Rams corners. They're gonna have Ramsey, and then on the front line they're gonna have Brockers, and they're gonna have Floyd, and they're gonna have Aaron Donald. This is gonna be one or lost there. Russell Wilson has had a few games where he had an atrocious amount of turnovers for him. I want to say he threw 2 picks and he had like 2 fumbles against Buffalo. He scored 34 points and he still left at least another 17 points on the board. That's how good they have to be on defense. That's how good they have to be on offense. Seattle's defense has been inept. I think they should probably be looking at signing because he was just waived. Tack McKinley, he got waived on Sunday or Monday. They should be trying to get Tack McKinley to get a little bit better pass rush. I don't know if Tack McKinley is signed with anybody yet, but last time I checked, he did not. They need to get him because they need to get pass rush. They're not. The pass rusher last year was Clowney. Clowney's in Tennessee now. You don't really have a great pass rusher. You don't. You need to get somebody. Tack McKinley, who who's on his fourth year. He's a fourth year guy out of UCLA. Was really dominant player. Just never got it going in Atlanta. Maybe needs a change of scenery. Maybe him in Seattle because they need somebody who's going to help rush the passer. Russell Wilson needs help. You shouldn't give up 34 points. They've scored in their two losses. I want to say 31 and 34 points because they lost in overtime to the Cardinals 34-31, and they just lost 44-34. So you scored in your two losses 33 and a half points a game. Well, 32 and a half points a game. That's a lot. Shouldn't score that much and lose. It's Their defense is down there with the Dallas Cowboys statistically, but you have Russell Wilson. But even with that, I believe it's a division rival. They're going to somehow piece it together. Russell Wilson usually pulls some Houdini moves. I just can't see him losing back-to-back games. I can't see him losing this much. I believe he's going to right the ship. I believe Russell Wilson is going to do enough. So this is my sleeper because they got the Rams winning this one. I believe Russell Wilson finds enough. It might be Will Disley. Russell Wilson might spin off Aaron Donald, shake Leonard Floyd, stiff arm Michael Brockers, throw a 50-yard pass to DK Metcalf, who will moss Jalen Ramsey. I'm calling Seattle over Los Angeles Rams.
Yeah, it's not a sleeper for me, but I've been riding the Russell Wilson train from day one this season. He's my MVP pick from day one. He's my starting quarterback in fantasy. Um, so I'm going to take Seattle over the Rams. Um, it's going to be another good game.
Mm-hmm.
The 4 o'clock games are good ones.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'm taking Seattle also.
All right.
I'm riding my quarterback, Russ.
Next up, San Francisco 49ers. So fine, as my brother always calls him. Big shout out to Sight. He's doing amazing things. My brother's a big 49ers fan. So versus the New Orleans Saints. And this is in New Orleans. New Orleans coming off a good Monday night victory where they shook their little
Big
tail
game,
feather.
yep.
They showed out 38-3. The game was over really in the first half. And they put their foot on their neck. Michael Thomas is back. Emmanuel Sanders should be coming back soon. Did he play last week? I don't think he did.
I don't
Tre'Davion
know.
Smith, Sean Payton could pick up a receiver. He's done it with a lot of different receivers. Michael Thomas was just the icing on the cake. But, him and Kamara and Jared Cook's a really good tight end. And their defense seemed to be playing pretty good. Even the games that they haven't been, in my opinion, just thoroughly dominated. They have lost, but they have not been thoroughly dominated. And I don't see it. I just don't see it happening. San Fran has a lot of injuries. Who's sure Jimmy G will be back? I don't know what's up with Debo Samuel, Tevin Coleman. I guess if you need a running back, he could be boom or bust if he plays this week, but it's still not enough because I just don't believe it's going to be enough for San Francisco 49ers. With that said, I got the New Orleans Saints. Their defense looked really good to me. Defense looked really good. Defense set the tone. I believe they're trying to get in that second season push. They're trying to move forward. And I got them beating San Fran. And it's in New Orleans. Yeah, I got the Saints. I got the Saints. The Saints are going to go marching in. They'll be partying. We're going on Bourbon Street.
Yeah, I'm taking the Saints. The 49ers just don't have enough. They don't have enough to beat the Saints right now. The Saints are, what are they, 4 wins in a row? Um,
Yeah.
the 49ers just don't have enough. So I'm taking New Orleans, taking Drew Brees, taking Michael Thomas from the
Ohio
Ohio State
State
University.
Big ups to Marshawn Lattimore from the Ohio State University. Gotta give them. And Malcolm Jenkins from the Ohio State University. So it's definitely a good one. Let's move forward. Next up, we got the Cincinnati Bengals. Joey Burrow led Cincinnati Bengals versus the Pittsburgh Steelers. This game's interesting. Cincinnati's been making noise, but Pittsburgh's undefeated. But some of their last games, they didn't look very. The hardest thing about winning every week is it's like it becomes you add another brick to the back. Sometimes this the straw that broke Campbell back. They look very impressive against Dallas. They got down early. You could say if Dallas had a little bit more weapons, Dallas could have put the game away early, and there was some questionable calls, which Dallas fans have been tending to lean towards. They've been messaging me like, "Hey, I'm in an uproar. You see what happened? That was a bad call. They didn't want us to win." Hey, ref make bad call. Refs are people too. So refs make bad calls, the refs make questionable calls. Maybe the way they saw it is not the way you saw it, or maybe you have Homer glasses. That's not for me to say. But this one is what I'm gonna do. This is gonna be my special of the week. Joey Burrows looked amazing, and they just beat Tennessee. They beat Tennessee a few weeks ago. I believe Cincinnati is on the up and up. And literally, they are literally one defensive stop away from beating the Cleveland Browns. They are one defensive stop. If they could have stopped Baker Mayfield, who was living the dream that day when he threw those TD passes, you could say that they could have another victory. They could be was a 4-4-1, the 3-5. They've looked good as the season progressed because they started off. They didn't look so hot. Remember, they lost a few games that Joe Burrow's the first time ever lost. Then they tied with the Eagles. But since then, they have been on a streak. They haven't been losing like that. It hasn't been, oh, we're just going to keep losing. It's not been. Out of their last five, they're 2-3, but the 2-3 games have been the three losses have been tough. One of them was to the Browns, they lost to the Colts, and they lost to the Ravens. The Ravens one was obvious; they got blown out. But the last two games, they beat Tennessee before the bye week. They lost to Cleveland by 3, and they lost to the Colts by 4. I'm calling my upset special of the week. Put your money down. Cincinnati. Remember, division rival. You see them twice a year. You know them inside and out. Cincinnati's going to be Pittsburgh. I know they got Claypool, but James Conner hasn't done well. Cincinnati seems to be doing better against stopping the run. James Conner hasn't done well. You can say Claypool, Jimmy, uh, Juju Smith-Schuster. You can say Deontay Johnson out of the University of Toledo. You can also say James Washington out of Oklahoma State. Juju's from USC. Claypool's from Notre Dame. You can say Eric Ebron, Big Ben. You can say all that. You can say they defense. I just believe that sometimes you win so many games and you have a hiccup. They had a hiccup last week, but I don't believe they learned from the hiccup. And Joey Burrow looks good. They look good. They got Tyler Boyd, AJ Green, Drew Sample. Mixon will come back. Giovanni Bernard will slide back to his normal role of being third down back. They have I want to say Cleveland has a Huggins and they have a Higgins. They have T. Higgins. I just believe they're going to do enough. So my sleeper of the week, Cincinnati Bengals. Yes, the Bungles are going to beat the Pittsburgh Steelers, and Pittsburgh's going to have his hair on fire. Sorry, Mike Tomlin. I love you, brother, but it is what it
is. So I was going to take Cincinnati.
Oh, you're in shock and awe.
No, I was thinking about making this my upset sleeper. You know, Joe Burrows don't like to lose. I know that. You know, he originally, played quarterback at the Ohio State University before he transferred and went on to become the number one pick in the draft. But here's the thing. How about, can I do this? If Big Ben starts Sunday, the Pittsburgh Steelers win. But right now he's in their COVID protocol with a couple other players because Vance McDonald tested positive for coronavirus, I think, Monday. So if Big Ben plays Sunday, I'm taking the Steelers. If Big Ben can't play, I'm taking the Bengals. Can I do that?
You can do that. It's COVID.
It's our show.
You can do anything you want to.
Okay.
It is
COVID.
I don't care if he plays or doesn't play. Doesn't matter.
All right.
Bengals are going to win. Put your money down on the Cash App. Cutty Coastal 419. Cash at me. Living the dream.
Either way, whatever you pick on that, don't blame me.
I won't. Next up, we got the Baltimore Ravens, 6-2 Baltimore Ravens versus the hapless 3-5 New England Patriots. This one at the beginning of the year looked like this could be amazing, but since then, Lamar Jackson still passed for 200 yards a game, maybe a little less than 200 yards a game. Their offense does not look good. They've scored a defensive touchdown. They've run the ball. Gus Edwards, if you can pick him up, or even Mark Ingram.
Yeah, I think teams are starting to figure out how to slow down Lamar Jackson a little.
And that's what happens. It usually takes a year or two to catch up. First year he really didn't start because he really didn't start the first year, and then the second year he just took off on his MVP campaign. And this year people are just kind of seeing who he is. Man, he's not a bad quarterback. You could say some of his play calling. And some of it is just that and the other, but you got Hollywood Brown, which I got rid of him. I traded him away just because he's boomer bust, but he's only had a few games over like double-digit points. But when he scores, he'll get you, he'll get you a 15-point play. He'll catch a 70-yard touchdown. He'll get you a 15-point play, but then he might not do anything for the rest of the game. And it's just hard to see. He's boomer bust. The team, honestly, passing the ball is boomer bust. I still believe their number one target is their tight end Mark Andrews out of Oklahoma, who's really good. Well, actually, Mark Andrews, I want to say played with Christian Kirk. I want to say they played together at the same high school in Arizona. I digress. Meanwhile, I just, even with that being said, New England's New England. It's a reason why Tom Brady left. Tom Brady didn't leave, in my opinion, because he left partly because Bill Belichick forced him out. But Tom Brady didn't leave with the cupboard completely full. He left with the cupboard completely bare because there's nobody there. Gronk had
Mm.
retired. Edelman looked like a shell of his former self. Nikhil Harry never worked out. That defense was old. Kyle Van Noy, everybody had left other than Gilmore. And now Gilmore's 30 and wants more money. So he won't be there much longer either. This offseason or sooner than later. If you can get away with Revis, you can get away with Gilmore, they're going to look at another corner to get. But this offense is just Cam Newton and whoever. Cam Newton, if you can get, I started Damon Harris, he got hurt. They look good against the Jets, but it is the Jets. I don't see them winning, even if Lamar Jackson has a porous passing game. This might be because both of these teams are led in rushing, or they were led in rushing by their quarterbacks, which this isn't gonna be. Damon Harris actually leads now the New England Patriots in rushing, but this isn't gonna be like a 700-800 yards of total offense. I just don't see it happening. This is gonna be a ground game in New England. They're going to run the ball. Both teams are going to run the ball. It's going to be a low scoring defensive affair, and it's what offense can make the least amount of turnovers because both quarterbacks right now look inept at passing. Cam doesn't have the weapons to truly see what he is. And you can even say Hollywood Brown doesn't have great weapons either. Yes, you could say Lamar Jackson. He just has Hollywood Brown, maybe Mark Andrews, but they make their living running the ball. But I gotta pick one. Lamar Jackson just doesn't lose to teams who suck. When he
Mm.
loses, the teams he loses to are playoff caliber and Super Bowl caliber teams. He's lost to Tennessee, who on their Super Bowl run. He's lost to Kansas City sometimes, and he lost to Pittsburgh. So when he loses, he doesn't lose to teams that are inferior. He loses to teams that are equal or better in talent. So I don't see him losing this one. So I got Baltimore. It's going to be one of those ugly run games. You never know. Hollywood Brown may hit you with a big play. Maybe we'll have a Des Bryant sighting. He signed. Maybe we'll see him come out because they need something. They need a possession receiver to move the sticks. And I'm just going with Baltimore. Both of these quarterbacks need more help. You can't really say Lamar Jackson. Lamar Jackson has developed more as a passer. Cam Newton needs help. Cam Newton had a better offense in Carolina than he does now. Because name me one player on that offense other than Cam Newton you would take top 10 at their position, and you on like a skill position wise, and you can't. I don't even think you can even go top 20. You probably can't. Maybe even top 30. Maybe top 30. But top 20, there's nobody on their offense that I would see him other than Cam Newton and be like, I'd take that guy. I really think he has a chance. Just don't see it. When their defense is younger, but not as good, they don't really rush the passer. But like I said, that's not Baltimore's game either. Baltimore's not going to surgically just go down there and, you're not going to have Lamar Jackson 7 of 7, 53 yards on a touchdown on a drive. He's going to either hit you big or he might go 3 for 5 or 3 for 4 for those yards, but it's going to be chunk plays. I just got Baltimore winning because Lamar Jackson and John Harbaugh does not lose to bad teams. Lamar Jackson's 25-5, and since he's taken over as a starting quarterback, check out his 5 losses. Kansas City a few times, Tennessee, Pittsburgh. All these teams have a winning record. I want to say all the teams have like over 650, 700 win percentage record. So he doesn't lose to a team that's 3-5. It just won't happen. I'm going with Baltimore.
Yep, I'm taking Baltimore. Also, I don't think it's going to be that close. So I I don't take fantasy players from bad offenses. Stay away from the New England Patriots with your fantasy team. Um, Not that there's a lot of weapons on the Baltimore Ravens, but at least their offense has got some movement. They got some life. But Cuddy, you made some good points. Uh, Lamar Jackson and Harbaugh, they're not losing to bad teams.
Mm-mm.
They've been beat by the Steelers and the Chiefs this year, um, two of the best teams in the NFL. So yeah,
Combined one loss.
I'm definitely taking the Ravens,
Mm.
and I know that those good teams, even a couple of teams have given the Ravens some trouble, but they've won.
Mhm.
But I don't think it's going to be this close this Sunday.
You could honestly say they would have beat the Steelers if they didn't have a few defensive touchdowns. They had a defensive touchdown. They had another one where they got inside the red zone, and they gave up. So they literally spotted Pittsburgh 14 points. So
Yeah,
it's tough when you spot a team 14 points and you lose by a little bit.
yeah. All right.
Da-da-da. That's the Sunday night game. I guess I'll be watching Mandalorian.
Ah,
That's the Sunday night game. So it's gonna be brutal. But next up, da-da-da-da-da, da-da-da-da. It's Monday Night Football. Da-da-da-da-da-da, da-da-da-da, da-da-da-da-da. This one hits home for us. This one hits home. You can throw out the records. This is the NFC North division. You got the Minnesota Vikings, the surging Minnesota Vikings, the Dalvin Cook Superman-led Minnesota Vikings versus our lowly and hapless Chicago Bears. I am disappointed with the way we lost our last three straight. It's been terrible. We lost to the Saints, we lost to the Rams, and we lost to Tennessee. So we lost
yeah.
our last three straight. We're 5-4. We were five and
No, we
one.
lost the last two straight. Three out of the last five.
Three out of the last four.
Three out of the last five.
Are you sure?
Yep. Nope. We
We
did
lost our
lose.
last
We
three
did
straight.
lose last week. You're right. We lost four out of the last six.
Yeah.
Got it. Got it.
Yeah. This was interesting because Dalvin Cooks looked like a man amongst boys. You got him, you got Thielen, you got Justin Jefferson, you got Smith Jr., maybe Rudolph, but Cook, man, makes that offense go. I don't he I thought he was just out there doing what he could against Green Bay. That kind of shocked me. And then he did it again. Then he did it again. Then he did it again. I mean, he beat the Lions, but they've been scoring since he came back almost over 30 points a game. He's pretty much been a one-man band. They've been averaging 31 points a game, 32 points a game since he came back. They scored 34 and 28. So, you got 32 points a game. That's he's scored 8 touchdowns in the last 4 games. I'm not even sure if I'd have to go back and look, but I'm not sure if they scored 8 touchdowns when he wasn't playing in like 4 games. That's how good he's been. He's a matchup nightmare because now you got to put 8 in the box, which gives Adam Thielen, who normally gets over coverage. Now you got Justin Jefferson and Smith Jr., who's a tight end who's coming along. Now they get their one-on-ones, and I just believe it's going to be a hard matchup. Defensively, I didn't think they would be this good. They got rid of Ngakwe. They traded him. I thought they were going to be in rebuilding mode. Daniel Hunter was hurt, but they've managed a way to piece it together. It's like Dalvin Cook makes them go. Like the whole team seems to be energized. And it's nerve wracking because my Bears have been lowly and hapless the last 3 weeks. The Rams, the Saints, and Tennessee. Like we just can't get it right. Offensively, we are inept. We are atrocious. We are a dumpster fire. We need to pull out the bones of Sid Luckman, maybe for some good luck, because we don't have a quarterback still. I don't care what you say. Don't say Foles. Look at Foles' record when he's not with the Eagles and tell me what it is. It is putrid at best. His winning percentage is less than 400 when he's not. I want to say his winning percentage is less than 500. I want to say he's might be 7-15, which is 22 games, 7 victories, less than 400. That's a little bit more than a third. The winning percentage is not good when he's not at the Eagles. The Eagles, he had magic for 2 seasons. He's not consistent enough to be good. And we traded away a 4th-round pick who, by draft standards, that's probably a starter. We got Eddie Jackson around the 4th round. So it's not like, we literally just bungled another thing. Hopefully they get rid of Ryan Pace and Matt Nagy. Yes, I said it. And I know the record's 5-4. And I know they could change things around. But I just don't have any faith in Chicago Bears front office. Sad day. That being said, I'm picking the Bears. I almost walked off camera. That's how much it hurt me to pick that's how much it hurt me to pick them. I did that pick totally with my heart, not with my mind. My mind simply said, pick the Vikings. Sorry, Tay. I love you, cuz I should be picking the Vikings, but I'm not picking the Vikings. The Bears, NFC North, we see this team twice a year. It's going to be outside. I just don't know. I just don't. My head hurts all the time thinking about this. It just do. The Bears defense is on the field too long. You have a top, maybe not statistical defense. You have a top 5 defense. You have a top 3 defense, and you're doing nothing with it. You squandered it. Mitch Trubisky, squander. Nick Foles, squander. Squander. These are Khalil Mack's best years, and you're squandering them away. Roquan Smith, Fuller, Eddie Jackson, none of them are 30. These are their prime years, and you're squandering them away because you can't put up a decent offense. If you could just put up a semblance of a decent offense, we could at least say, hey, the Baltimore Ravens had the blueprint. You know, it was the Baltimore Ravens winning quarterbacks when they won Super Bowls with Ray Lewis? Trent Dilfer, Joey Flacco. Does any of them scream Hall of Famer to you? Does any of them scream Hall of Famer to you? No, because you don't need a Hall of Fame quarterback. When you got a defense this good, you need to run the ball, which we don't have a running back. Tariq Cohen got hurt. You let Jordan Howard go because you were too cheap to pay him. Then you didn't even try to re-sign him when he became a free agent and re-signed him and says, hey, he works good. You draft David Montgomery. We don't have a running back, and we really don't even have a play caller. I don't know what you're doing, Matt Nagy, Ryan Pace. Both of y'all need to be walked out the door. Hell, maybe even walk the owner out the damn door. Put it down. Put it down. We are a complete, utter dumpster fire. I'm not calling for Mitch Trubisky to come back, but he might as well. I know one thing: you shouldn't keep Mitch.
Do not bring Trubisky back. Mr. Trubisky is not an NFL quarterback.
You know
He's
what?
Not a starting quarterback in the NFL.
Mitch Trubisky, I'm gonna take up for it. This is how you know I must not be feeling well. This is how you know I must not be feeling well. This is one of my rants. This is how you know I must not be feeling well.
Cutty, don't go off that cliff.
I'm going off the cliff. And you didn't catch me.
Do it.
Sad. You tried, but I jumped off anyway.
He has weapons, and he can't play quarterback. I'm not saying Nick Foles is the answer.
He's not.
But what I am going to say is, remember what you said about Lamar Jackson.
What did I say?
He doesn't lose to bad teams.
Yeah.
The Vikings are not a good team. They played better for 2 weeks. Okay? The last 3 weeks in a row, the Bears have lost. 3 in a row. They've lost to the Tennessee Titans, the New Orleans Saints, and the Los Angeles Rams. The Minnesota Vikings do not belong in the same category as those 3 teams.
With Dalvin Cook? Yes, they do.
No, they do not. They have Kirk Cousins, who is about a Nick Foles level quarterback, period. Yes, I said it. Maybe the most overrated quarterback ever in NFL history. Maybe. Only because he's gotten paid that much money to be that mediocre.
He's a great businessman. I can't knock the hustle.
So with that said, I'm taking the Chicago Bears this week at home on Monday Night Football. They're not going to lose 4 games in a row. I'm not saying that Nagy's the answer. I'm not saying Pace is the answer. Somebody should have got fired for taking Trubisky way ahead of Mahomes and Watson, okay? But we're winning this week.
Bears, newsflash. I got 5 minutes. Can you give me a few minutes?
Yeah,
okay. Give me a few minutes. Okay. Let me sit up in my seat. Bears, this is how you fix it. You give up a 5th-round pick for a guy like Sam Darnold because they don't want Sam Darnold.
Don't get Sam Darnold either.
Sam Darnold is really good.
No, he's not good.
You know what? Okay. Look, do me a favor.
Let me ask you this.
We didn't prep this. Hold on. Do me a favor. Look at Ryan Tannehill's stats with Adam Gase and look at Ryan Tannehill's stats now. Big difference. You know what the difference is? He got out the way. I believe Adam Gase is a quarterback killer.
Maybe the difference is
give him a 5th round pick.
Derrick Henry might be the difference.
Okay, so you mean to tell me we can't go out and draft a running back? Maybe we can.
We don't have Derrick. We haven't ran the ball in 3 years.
Maybe
4 years.
Maybe we can go and get Najee Harris out of Alabama.
What I'm saying is,
maybe we can go get a running back.
Let me ask you this:
in the 1st round,
how many quarterbacks are early round draft picks that flop in the first 3 and 4 years and ever have an NFL career after that?
There's been some.
How many? I can't think of any.
Not many. I'm not saying he's going to put up Hall of Fame career-esque numbers.
So I'm saying if they don't make it the first 3 or 4 years, I've never seen them come back and like.
But most of the time it's because people have given up on them, and it's not always the case.
Maybe there's a reason.
He's not bad. Okay. Other than Jamison Crowder, you play fantasy. Name me one person on the Jets, and you bet not say Roby Anderson because he's a Carolina.
None.
And I get exactly.
But good quarterbacks will make their team competitive. They're not competitive. Look, name outside of Metcalf, name some great players on the Seahawks offense.
Disley, tight end.
They got Lockett.
Chris Carson.
Outside of Lockett, maybe Carson some games.
Carlos Hyde.
Yeah, but Carlos Hyde's not. It's been a while since he's been like a really relevant running back.
He's back up to Chris Carson.
Yeah, but he's not.
They got Disley.
I'm saying, but you're not starting Hyde in fantasy.
No.
So out of those players, you'll start Lockett.
Yeah, I'd probably
Metcalf.
start and probably Disley.
Yeah, I don't know. Disley's he's a mid-level.
Yeah,
8 to 12 probably tight end.
Yeah, exactly. But boom or bust.
So I'm just saying that the Seahawks don't have a ton more. Like there's offenses out there that don't have much, and their quarterback will make them. Look at the Green Bay Packers.
Aaron Rodgers is a whole other world.
So what I'm saying is, Aaron
Donald's
Donald's not even making his team competitive.
I'm saying it's Sam Darnold. First of all, I wish we did have Aaron Darnold, but that was a whole other thing. I think we drafted somebody else after him. Not the big point here because the Bears should have the best.
And don't draft or don't trade for Darnold.
A 5th round pick for Sam Darnold? 6th round?
No.
A 6th round is low risk, high reward. I believe him to be
Bears.
So
here's the thing.
Quarterback.
The Chicago Bears
are
not going to win football games. We're not going to be a good football team until we figure out how to run the football. Because with our defense and the style of offense that they're trying to play, we don't run the ball.
Understand that, okay, I'm going to give you a quarterback who struggled for a few years and came out to be pretty good. Josh Allen struggled. There was questions about what would Josh Allen become.
Yeah, but he didn't struggle that long. What was it, a year?
No, yeah, he struggled for really like a year and a half. He started to come on after the 2nd season. But guess what Josh Allen had last year at Buffalo? He had a top 5 defense. He had a top 5 defense. They said, oh, he's pretty good. He's made some plays. Let's go get him some help. Let's go get him Stephon Diggs. Okay, let's go get him the running back Moss out of Utah with what they already had at running back. We had Cole Beasley. Let's use Cole Beasley a little bit more. Let's do this. Let's tailor an offense around him. Problem is, hold on.
Josh Allen grew as a quarterback.
He grew. Sam Darnold has showed me flashes. I've seen him where he's almost getting sacked by 3 people, get out of a spin out and throw a 50-yard, not 50-yard, maybe a 15-yard dime, not 50, 15 dime. And I'm like, that looks really, really good. Most quarterbacks in the NFL can't do that. Now I'm seeing some of the throws, and I'm like, yeah, if he had a better offensive line, then maybe we could see what he could become. I'm not saying you give up a 1st, 2nd, 3rd, or 4th. I'm saying a 5th or 6th round pick. We gave up a 4th for Foles, and we knew what he was when he wasn't in Philly.
If you're going to give up a
5th
round pick, trade for Fitzpatrick. Maybe we'll win. We'll win games with Fitzpatrick.
Fitzpatrick is too old to take.
He's a better quarterback than Darnold.
Fitzpatrick is a free agent, so you don't have to trade for him. This is last year. He pretty much is done. So it's not like we can't get Fitzpatrick.
Fitzpatrick's a better quarterback than Darnold.
But what I'm saying is he might be short term, but I'm saying, he might be exactly next year. But I'm saying if you want to have a franchise quarterback, Sam Darnold's that dude. I never said Josh Rosen was that dude.
I don't think he's that dude.
I
just don't think Darnold's a good quarterback.
I believe he's a good quarterback. I believe in certain franchises you go to, and no matter what, you're gonna look bad. I'll give you an example.
Nick Mullen over Darnold, just so you know.
Okay. Want me to give you an example of quarterback ineptitude? I mean, a team ineptitude. Picture if you had Matthew Stafford even on the Bears. Matthew Stafford. Look at his numbers. Picture if
That's
you had
different.
him.
Stafford is a good quarterback.
Picture if you had him on the Bears. But he had to do it for so many years consecutively, and he had to do it without Megatron for people to realize, oh, this dude is a good quarterback. He just ain't got that winning.
He's not a great quarterback, but he's a good quarterback.
Picture if you put him with a great defense.
Yeah.
And a decent running game. You got to think he, up until recently, he never really had a running back get over like 100 yards for a lot from like years, not just games, years.
I don't think the Lions are trading Stafford to the Bears, though.
No, but what I'm saying is, I believe Sam Darnold is in that same realm as a younger version of a Matthew Stafford.
Pace, if you can trade for Stafford, do it now.
He's not gonna. He's too much cap space. Sam Darnold.
I don't care. Do it.
Sam Darnold. I would take Sam Darnold, or I'd even take Dwayne Haskins. This is a easy fix. You get one or two of them.
I might give Haskins a chance just because he's from the Ohio State.
You give up a 5th or 6th round pick. You paid a little $7 or $8, $9 million. You get rid of Trubisky. You get rid of Foles. And instead of paying your quarterbacks $30 million, because Foles is getting like 20, and Mitch Trubisky's on the last year of his deal as a number 2 pick is probably getting 10, you can shrink that number down from 30 to about 10, and then take that $20 million, go draft Najee Harris or Travis Etienne, who I really like out of Clemson. You can go get you a good running back and then further enhance your offensive line and say, hey, this is going to be our team. This is what we got. Got a young quarterback. The reason why I took Darnold over Haskins because Darnold has played, and I just believe Darnold will be better if you get him if he had some weapons. So you get him a young stud rookie running back, and then you still got Cohen. He'll be back next year. And then with Mooney, Allen Robinson, Ted Ginn, Mims, Cole Kmet, Jimmy Graham, then you got weapons. All he needs is a quarterback. All we need is a quarterback and a good running back. I believe you can draft maybe a Travis Etienne because I think he'll be there in the middle of the first round, middle to late first round. Travis Etienne or Najee Harris. I believe you take one of them and you trade for a quarterback like Sam Darnold or Dwayne Haskins because I believe both of them are getting the short end of the stick, and I believe it's offensive incompetency because say what you want, Adam Gase got the job because Peyton Manning literally said, this is my offense, this is what I'm going to run. All I need you to do is get out the way.
I'm not defending Adam Gase, but I'm just saying I don't think Sam Darnold's the answer. I don't think he's a good quarterback.
I believe Sam Darnold, if you switch,
I don't think he's a serviceable quarterback.
I believe Sam Darnold, if you switched him, put him in a different system because quarterbacks have grown. Some of them have started off shaky. Look at even Peyton Manning this first year wasn't good, but then they start putting weapons around him. They've done the complete opposite in New York.
So how many years has Darnold been in the league, though? 3 years? This is his third year?
This is third year. He's been taking lumps. So I'm trying to save him from himself.
So how many years has Trubisky been in the league?
This is
his 4th year.
Yeah.
Next year, Sam Darnold's in Trubisky's shoes. He ain't starting in the NFL no more.
That's why I'm saying get him now. He's low risk.
He ain't going to start because he ain't good.
He's low risk and he's high reward. You know who's behind him right now? Joe Flacco. You know what they were waiting
I just don't think he's better than Trubisky, so you might as well keep Trubisky.
Trubisky's not that good.
I know, and neither is Sam Darnold.
Sam Darnold is a better upgrade over Mitch Trubisky. Complete better.
I don't think so.
Complete better.
I don't think he is.
I looked at what Ryan Tannehill became after Adam Gase as a blueprint.
That's one quarterback, though.
Okay. Sometimes that's all you need is one. You only need one good.
I'm just saying I don't think Darnold's good. I don't think Adam Gase is helping him any, but I don't think Darnold's good.
Their offense, you look up the stats. Their offense is on a complete uptick since Adam Gase stopped calling plays. Now it's just their defense because he's been scoring 20-plus points a game, and they've still been losing. Well, he did have that hiccup against the Buffalo Bills where they lost, was it 18-12 or something like that, where there was a game of field goals. But what I'm saying is that was an ugly game. Those are going to happen in the NFL. And when you don't have a great defense because you gave up 6 field goals, when you don't have a great, they gave up over 400 yards. They just had 6 field goals. When you don't have a great defense, that's what you run into. But I'm just saying, if you gave him an Allen Robinson with the Cole Kmet with this Mooney kid, Jimmy Graham in the red zone with Allen Robinson, a Tariq Cohen, or get you a bruising running back like Travis Etienne.
Yeah, I definitely don't think Darnold's better than Foles.
You don't think?
I don't think there's any stats
Foles'
in the world.
record in Philadelphia when he's not in Philadelphia is 7-15. 7-15. You know what that winning percentage is? It's less than 36%. That's the 36%. If you're in the NBA and you shooting twos at 18 for 50, you probably ain't gonna be in the league for long. They're gonna consider it a slump. That's what I'm trying to tell you. If you only win 30-some% of your games, you're not gonna be doing well. It is what it is.
I just don't think Darnold's that good of a quarterback.
Yeah, you don't. I do. I believe Sam Darnold to be that dude. That's the equivalent of going 6-10 when you win a 36% of your game. What did you go? 6-10. 6-10. I'm 6-10. I believe Sam Darnold in a Bears uniform.
By the
or
way, is
Dwayne
Darnold
Haskins.
starting? This might be Flacco.
He got hurt. He's been trying to
Yeah.
play hurt.
I forgot Flacco was playing.
He had mono last year. He was sick and he toughed it out. Big ups to Sam Darnold. I like him. He got moxie.
I take Flacco over Darnold.
He's not complaining. He's playing as hard as he can.
I would take Flacco over Darnold, just so you know.
You take Flacco over Darnold. There's a reason why Flacco didn't start over Darnold. There's a reason.
Flacco been to a Super Bowl.
Look what he had with him. He had our caliber.
Look
defense.
what we got. That's what I'm saying.
I believe Flacco's better days are behind him.
I'm not saying they're not, but I still think he's better than Darnold.
I believe Sam Darnold's getting shafted, and I believe a low risk, high reward. Meaning, you see, Miami gave up Ryan Tannehill for scraps. Tennessee took him, and look at what he is. Give him a running back and a few good weapons and a defense, and let him shine. I believe we could use Ryan Tannehill for an example as a quarterback who got better later on, because he was considered a dumpster fire, was considered a can't hit prospect, and he got better. I believe the same thing will be said for Jameis Winston. I'd take Jameis Winston in a heartbeat.
I would take Winston over Foles and Trubisky.
I believe he's going to throw some interceptions, but but he's had that problem since Florida State. I just believe that I believe that Foles or Trubisky, you could upgrade with I would have took Teddy 2 gloves. I want us to sign him. I thought he was serviceable. I still believe our focus is offensive line, running back, a bell cow running back. I don't think David Montgomery is a bell cow running back. I believe you should maybe draft Najee Harris, maybe Tariq, maybe Travis Etienne is a little bit, gone on because you have Tariq Cohen, and they kind of step on each other's toes. I believe Najee Harris, who does catch the ball off the backfield brilliantly, is another King Henry style running back where he can pound the ball and looks really good. And I believe that's what the Bears need. We need a running back who can maybe get you 20 rushes for maybe 90 yards and a touchdown and get those hard, tough yards.
They ain't gonna get a running back out of it. They're gonna fuck it up somehow.
It's the Bears.
Yeah.
I mean, we laugh to complain.
Yeah.
And we complain to laugh. And so that was it. I went on my little soliloquy, my monologue as far as living the dream with getting life after Trubisky and Foles. Bears, if you listening to me before I get out of here, you can save $30 million if you get rid of both of them. And Sam Darnold and Dwayne Haskins, you can get for pennies on the dollar, because you wouldn't owe their guaranteed contract, and you can take that other money, parlay it into maybe a better offensive lineman, and you can draft a running back.
I'm saying if you're going to save money, don't do it in a quarterback.
I'm saying we can still get them on the rookie deal, and we can make a killing. And probably, I mean, you got to think Dwayne Haskins would have 2 more years left before you had to pay him big money. Next year, you'd only get 1 year with Sam.
If Haskins don't do something different, nobody's paying him big money.
I mean, you could actually say Haskins actually had better weapons than Sam Darnold.
So my prediction is within the next 18 to 24 months, Sam Darnold's a career backup quarterback in the NFL.
I sort of believe what you said is right. I believe this. If you really wanted to, make a dent, go sign Ryan Fitzpatrick and sign either Dwayne Haskins or Sam Darnold, preferably Dwayne Haskins because he has 2 years, and put him on the bench all year. And let Ryan Fitzmagic run it with that defense and go get you a running back and go get you a better offensive line. And I believe we could be, contenders. Because I believe Ryan Fitzpatrick, if he gets hot, is something that I've seen Ryan Fitzpatrick get hot and be player of the month in the whole in like the NFC. I've seen him get hot. He can get hot like that, and he can, and with the great defense and a great running game, I believe you can make some things happen. He has that Foles magic. He can get hot at the right time. It's over because he can put up 400 yards and 4-5 touchdowns. He might not be a bad issue to grab as a 1-year fix to trade and get a younger quarterback like Dwayne Haskins. Put him on the bench. Let him know, hey, this is not your year. We just want you to read and learn the offense. Your 4th year is where you'll start. Fitzmagic, go ahead. This whole year yours. You ain't got to worry about this man behind you. We're not going to pull a Tua on you and bench you, 1/3 of the way through the year. We're going to let you run the show. That's what we're going to do. And this is our offense. This is our plan. But who knows, man? It's the NFL. NFL stands for not for long. So
Yeah.
with that one, we've been on an extra long amount of time. I am Cutty Coastal. Follow me at BS and Viewpoints on YouTube. Follow and subscribe. And this is definitely the awesome man with the plan. His name is Dan Denton, Blue Collar Comedy Gospel Hour. Follow and subscribe on YouTube. Always leave a comment. We love you, and we out. What?